Okay, Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalam ala rasulillah. Welcome back to the Arabic Reader. What I'm going to be doing going forward, inshallah, is creating a series of hopefully shorter, small videos that tackle issues that are particular to new students in the Arabic language. And so it's fine to teach Arabic and teach all the rules of nahu and sarf, all the rules of grammar and morphology and all those, different areas. That's great. And of course we have to do that. But what I'm discovering is that new students have particular sets of challenges that make learning those grammar rules sometimes very frustrating and can slow the process to gaining some facility. And so I wanted to not only just simply teach rules of grammar and then kind of throw you in the pool and sort of sink or swim, but I wanted to also try to, through observation and through my years of teaching experience and even reacting to this particular cohort that I'm teaching this time around, and I wanted to try and see if I could address some of those challenges that I've observed in beginning students. And so one of those challenges I have observed is the new student, you may find yourself struggling to discern what kind of word am I looking at. So when you are looking at a sentence or you're looking at a text before you and you may say, I just don't know how these words are relating to one another. You may look at a word and say, I'm not sure if this is a verb or if this is a noun. And if it's a verb, I'm not sure is it, future tense, past tense, active, passive, all those things. And so I wanted to make a series of videos called اكتشاف النحو العربي, right? Exploring Arabic grammar that inshallah this time around would make things a little bit easier by addressing those particular challenges. So in the case of our example today, I've made a couple of graphics. We're just going to go over three. And so this is from our handout that we had on Al-Qa'ima Al-Thaniya. So we have every week, what I like to do is I like to make a list, a qa'ima, and I like to take that list. And what I've done is one of the text that we're hoping to be able to read is the Risala of Ibn Abi Zayd al-Qayrawani. And so what I've done is use that text as kind of a data set. And so every week what I've been doing is taking a list of approximately 10 verbs and 10 nouns from that document and using those and exploring their meanings and their conjugations and their roots and all that kind of stuff, and creating other example sentences that contain those verbs and nouns, as well as looking at other secondary sources that either share some of that vocabulary or, just in general are something useful for us to learn. And so from the Al-Qa'imat Al-Thaniya, from the second list, I gave us two paragraphs to look at. One was the paragraph about the Hizbun Maghribi, and I've already done a video on that, about the Moroccan delegation. And then the second sentence, which I also did a piece on, but I want to just really briefly today use that second sentence again. This is the one, the second paragraph, that is al-isti'dadu lil-imtihan al-a'zami fil akhirati, right? Which is the one about preparing for the test in the next life. And so I want us to look just really quickly at the opening sentence in it. And I want to just quickly show how the use of pronouns in particular can be one of those initial challenges for people to understand, particularly when they're married with a particle, and it can sometimes throw us off. So let's take a look here. What I've done is I've created three slides. The first one we're going to look at here has our sentence that we're talking about. The second one, I'm going to highlight a couple of words in that. And then the third will be the same sentence, but it will be expressed as if those pronouns were never used. So in the first one here, we can see the sentence says, هذا الامتحان الذي نتحدث عنه امتحان لشيء من أمور الدنيا إذا أخفق فيه الإنسان هذه المرة فلعله ينجح في المرة الثانية. All right, great. So this sentence is talking about the tests related to a test that someone could take in this life. So هذا الامتحان, this test, الذي, which نتحدث عنه. This is our first use of a verb that uses a particle, and that particle, that harf, has a pronoun. So in my other graphic here, I've highlighted the relationship between that particle and how it points back to the thing being discussed. So the harf jar, or the particle of an, has the ضمير, or the pronoun of huwa. But in Arabic, when we like to take a harf like an or ila or ala or fi, and we want to marry it with a pronoun like huwa, hiya, kum, antum, nahnu, and so on, there's usually going to be a kind of concatenation or joining them together, and in that process, some part of that will be left off. So in the case of anhu, the hu is actually short for huwa, meaning him or masculine it. And so in Arabic, we don't say anhuwa, we say anhu. The hu is masculine, and it is referring back to that thing in the sentence that has previously been mentioned that is also masculine and is also singular. Because, for instance, hum would actually, that stays in its whole form. So anhum would be referred back to if you had a group of people that was either mixed gender, men and women, or all men. But in this case, we're talking about hadha al-imtihan, this test. So a test is a thing, but grammatically it is masculine and it is also singular. So that we can refer to through the pronoun of huwa, and when we marry that with our harf jar or harf of an, it becomes anhu. And so to help make this make sense, we also, in the second part of the sentence where it says إِذَا أَخْفَقَ فِيهِ الْإِنسَانُ, what I've shown here in our third slide is what would the sentence be like if we didn't use those pronouns, but rather continued to refer to the nouns themselves. Now, obviously, this is a detraction from the style of Arabic. As we said, once we have explicitly mentioned our subject, or we have explicitly mentioned the object that we're acting upon, the uslub, or the style of Arabic, is to not mention it explicitly again, unless there's some other need or there's a purpose for doing that, but rather we will implicitly refer to it through pronouns. So if we look at our first slide, this is how it is written in our text. هذا الامتحان الذي نتحدث عنه امتحان لشيء من أمور الدنيا إذا أخفق فيه الإنسان هذه المرة فلعله ينجح في المرة الثانية. But if we were to remove those pronouns, then what would be left is the harf and the thing we're referring to by itself. And so it would be read as هذا الامتحان الذي نتحدث عن الامتحان امتحان لشيء من أمور الدنيا إذا أخفق في هذا الامتحان إنسان هذه المرة فلعله الإنسان ينجح في المرة الثانية. So as you can see, it already becomes somewhat clumsy and unnecessarily redundant. So when we see anhu, it's as if we're saying نتحدث عن الامتحان, but instead we say نتحدث عنه, referring back to the imtihan. And likewise, when we say فيه, as in our statement إذا أخفق فيه الإنسان, what we really are saying, what we say instead is إذا أخفق فيه هذا الامتحان, but as if we're saying إذا أخفق في هذا الامتحان الإنسان. So this is a style in Arabic, going back again, so you can compare. You can see one, the sentence is much shorter, it's much more concise, and to be quite honest, even though it may seem more confusing initially, because of course we have to learn the style rule, actually it becomes quite a bit easier to read this sentence once you understand this basic function of a particle and a pronoun, or a harf and a ضمير, referring back to either some sort of maf'ul bihi or a fa'il, either referring back to an object that is being acted upon, or the subject of the verb. So هذا الامتحان الذي نتحدث عنه يعني نتحدث عن الامتحان امتحان لشيء في أمور الدنيا إذا أخفق فيه يعني في الامتحان الإنسان هذه المرة فلعله ينجح في المرة الثانية. So hopefully, and I'll leave a link to where you can have access to all three of these slides so you can see the comparison between the two of them. Hopefully this will make clear what the rule here is doing.